If you've never seen a performance by the Harp Consort before, then no doubt something that will strike you is the presence of a dancer, Stephen Player. It's a perfectly natural extension, combining music with dance, but what does the dancer actually bring to the music? Well, for one thing, it's the sound of his feet hitting the floor. As Ian Harrison, one of the musicians in the Harp Consort, says, when you play dance music, the conductor, or the person that you're actually following, is the dancer. Also, sometimes in rehearsal, if things in the music aren't sounding quite right, then Andrew Lawrence King might ask Stephen to demonstrate something in dance. And the visual element, seeing it, helps everyone to understand how the music should sound, particularly the rhythm and the pulse and the tempo. And it's a wonderful way to tell the stories in the music in another way, through the visual element adding another dimension. There's comedy, there's drama, and there's action. And it becomes more of a communal thing. Rather than the musicians sitting and playing and the audience just sitting and listening, there's another dimension of inclusion and entertainment. So how does Stephen Player know what the steps might have been? He admits the record keeping in Ireland in the 17th and 18th century was patchy at best. You couldn't find huge tomes of, you use this step and then you use that step and so on. It's more a case of taking lots of fragments of information and putting them into context. And that context is a European context. We sometimes forget that Ireland was always in communication with Europe and not just England. To find the things that influenced Irish culture, you have to look further afield to find similarities in language, rhythm and dance. So this cosmopolitan link between Ireland and Spain and France and Italy means that you can examine the more concrete descriptions of dance from those parts and those times and find similarities between steps that dancing masters in other parts of Europe were talking about and the steps you can still see in traditional Irish folk dancing. Stephen admits it's a bit of a leap of faith to see the similarities and influences, but culture is always evolving and always influencing. As he says, all he can do is take what he knows from his study of historic dance and his studies of European history and synthesise those into an informed version of something that he feels comfortable with as a performer. And it's the same for the musicians. Improvisation is a key element in this kind of music. But what role does it play in the Harp Consort's rehearsals, and how does it affect their performances? In other words, what's the point of rehearsing if you're only going to be making it up on the night anyway? Improvising is something that happens in the moment. But for this kind of music, traditional Irish Baroque music, it requires a tremendous amount of scholarship in order for it to be done in an informed way for both dance and music. Taking that scholarship and applying it is what happens during rehearsals. But Andrew Lawrence King is emphatic when he says that one of the ground rules for the Harp Consort is that in the moment of performance, the performers must do what feels right to them. If it was agreed in rehearsal that a particular phrase should be played softly, but that in the moment someone feels like it needs to be played forte, loudly, then the musicians must trust that everyone will have the same instinct. There's so little time for conscious decision-making when improvising. So all the scholarship, the understanding of rhythm, the understanding of ornaments, has to be absolutely internalised. It's a very educated and sophisticated kind of reflex.